like to extend a very warm word of welcome to one and all. It's a unique occasion, and it's the first series of meetings that we've had of this nature in South Africa. And so we are indeed grateful to Pastor Wurmbrand and Sister Wurmbrand for giving their time. They came a few days earlier in order to be with us on this occasion. We're very happy to welcome you one and all in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I understand that there are representatives of various churches. We also have visitors from Angola, also from the Portuguese community, our Afrikaans-speaking brethren, and some from the English-speaking churches as well. You obviously know, by virtue of the fact that we sent out our notice indicating that this is going to be somewhat different. We are not preaching to ministers, but we believe that the church which we represent, the underground church behind the Iron Curtain, could very likely come to our area in the coming days. I don't have to remind you of what is taking place in our surrounding the borders of our beloved country. We know what's happening in Mozambique, in Angola, some of the African territories. And God alone knows what the future is installed for those in these areas. And so because of this in mind, and because of the burden upon our hearts, we've asked the pastor if he would lecture on the underground church, and he will obviously be speaking and telling you something a little later of what he has upon his heart for each and every one of us. Baie welkom. En vir ons Afrikaans sprekende vriende, ek sal my verskoon, my Afrikaans is nie so goed nie, maar ek probeer. En namens die Christelinge sending aan die communiste wêreld, baie welkom hier vanmôre. My privilege now to officially introduce to you, if you've not as yet met our dear brother, Pastor Richard Wurmbrand, the founder and the general director of the Christian mission to the communist world. We are now operating in 56 countries of the world. There are a few countries that we know of that we are operating in, but we've not as yet been able to disclose it for various reasons. But it's my real joy and privilege to welcome our dear brother Wurmbrand into our midst this morning.
Dear brethren and dear sisters, I read from Acts chapter 9, verse 15. The Lord said unto Ananias, Go thy way, for Saul of Tarsus is a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel, for I will shew him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. Dear brethren and sisters, there exists not one single theological seminary, Bible school, university in the whole world which should have a course on underground church. You learn in seminaries about Sabellianism and Apollinarianism. You all have learned it. 5 minutes after you have finished the seminary, you forget about these things. You never will meet a Sabellian or an Apollinarian. We learn about the Coptic Church and about all kinds of small sects which we might never meet in our life. The underground church is the church of 1/3 of the world. Men who had never thought before that they will have to belong to an underground church become members of an underground church, because while America was fiddling with Watergate, communists have taken over Somalia, Ethiopia, South Yemen, Iraq, Syria, and they are on their way, if God will not prevent them, to take over Guinea-Bissau, Angola, Mozambique. And if we go further, they've taken half of Cambodia and half of Laos. Nobody's sure about them. And Christian pastors must know how an underground church looks like, what it does. I spoke with an archbishop in Britain. I told him during 1 hour about our underground work. And then in the end he said, "You will excuse, but it is my hobby. I am very interested in church architecture. Would you please tell me if the underground church uses the Gothic styles in the building of the churches?" If I would tell you who this archbishop is, you could not bear even to imagine that an archbishop can put such a question. The underground church is completely unknown. We are not trained for it. And we have it right next to our door. Every Christian pastor has the whole world as his parish. And we must know, because we might pass through such tragic circumstances. And if we are privileged not to pass through such tragic circumstances, then we have a duty to help and to instruct those who have passed through them. We in Romania and in Russia and in Red China and so on have given many victims. Many have died in prisons, many have gone to prisons. We are not proud about this. The right thing would have been to be so well instructed how to do the underground work as not to be caught. But nobody had instructed us. In a war, I don't admire so much the heroes who die for their fatherland. If there is a war, I admire rather those who make the enemy die for his fatherland. Not I should die for my father, he should die for his. And I don't admire so much those who go to prison for Christ. I admire those who know to work so well that they are not caught. And we have to know the underground work. Surely suffering can't be avoided in this underground church, whatever measures you take, as the first Christians could not avoid martyrdom. It is not possible in such a short time to give a course on underground church. I would urge you to put this question before your synods, before your denominations, and to ask absolutely that a course on underground church should be introduced. I will give just a few main ideas today and tomorrow, and then you will be able to put questions. What happens in a country when the communists take over? What will happen, let us say, in Angola or Mozambique, if, God beware, the communists take over? You will have a religious liberty as never before. So it begins. The communists come to power without having real power. They don't have the people on their side. They have not organized yet their police and their staff of the army and so on. In Russia, they gave immediate great liberty to the Protestants in order to destroy the Orthodox. Then when they have destroyed the Orthodox, then the turn came for the Protestants. With us in Romania, they gave very great liberty, and you can expect can you hear me? And in countries like, in Catholic countries like Angola and Mozambique, you can also expect great encouragement and great help for the Protestants just to preach. But this situation does not last long. They, in the meantime, infiltrate the church. They put their men in the leadership. They find out the weaknesses of pastors. Some might be an ambitious man. Some might be entrapped with the love of money. Another one might have a hidden sin wherewith they could blackmail him. They would tell, we publish this. And they put their men in the leadership. And then at a certain moment, the great persecution begins. With us also such a clampdown has been at once. All the Catholic bishops went to prison, innumerable priests, monks, nuns, many Protestant pastors of all denominations and so on. Many died in prison. And now Jesus, our Lord, tells Ananias, meet Saul of Tarsus. He will be my underground pastor, my underground worker. That is what St. Paul has been. He has been a pastor of an underground church. And now Jesus started a crash course for this underground pastor. And he started it with the words, show him how great things he must suffer. Underground work, preparation for this work, begins by studying sufferology, martyrology. Solzhenitsyn, in his book Gulag Archipelago, says that in the courses for police officers in the Soviet Union, they have a course on arrestology, the science how to arrest people so that nobody around should observe. And if they have created a new name, arrestology, let us create the name of sufferology. Who wishes, we will speak also, perhaps tomorrow, and then we will have question and answer sessions about the technical sides of the underground work. But the first thing is a certain spiritual preparation for this underground work. In a country like this, to be member of a church, it is enough to believe or to be baptized, or if the church believes in infant baptism, then to be baptized and then to be brought up in faith. In the underground church, this is not enough to be a member in the church. You can be baptized and you can believe, and you would not be a member of the church unless you know to suffer. Because you might have the mightiest faith in the world, and if you are not a man prepared to suffer, then you will be taken by the police, you will get 2 slaps, and you will say everything. So the preparation for suffering is one of the essentials of the preparation of an underground worker. A Christian does not panic if he is put in prison. Prison, we look upon it, and so we teach our underground Christians since they are very young to know that prison is for a pastor a new parish and nothing else than a parish. It is a parish with no great incomes, but with great opportunities of work. Solitary confinement is a parish. You have been told I have written a book, Sermons in Solitary Confinement. First of all, you can speak with God and with the angels. They are there. But you have also a real parish. It belongs to the training of the underground church, of a pastor today, to learn Morse code. You know what it is, the code by which cables are conveyed. E, A, B, C, and so on. And through this code, to preach the gospel to those who are to your right and to your left. And the prisoners always change. They take some out of the cell and they put others in. God has given to many Christians who have been in prison the privilege to bring to Christ men whom they have never seen through Morse code. And then after many years, they met these men who have been brought to Christ. And then when you are in common cells, I have had several parishes in my life. The best parish has been prison. In the parishes here, on Sunday morning, you ring the bell. If he wishes, he comes to church. If he doesn't wish, he doesn't come. If he doesn't like your sermons this Sunday, next Sunday, he doesn't come. He doesn't come in any case if it rains. But if you have prison as your parish, you have your parishioners with you. Here they look at the watch. He has preached already 30 minutes, but he never finished. There, when you are arrested, the wristwatch is taken away from you. And you have the parishioners with you the whole week and can preach to them from morning until night. They have no choice. There exists no possibility. And there have never been in the history of Romanian or the Russian church so many conversions made by pastors as they have been made in this parish, which is prison. So don't fear prison. Look upon it as just a new assignment given by God. I remember when I was arrested, my wife told me as the last word when I embraced her to go away with the policeman, Richard, remember that it is written, you will be brought before rulers and kings to be a testimony unto them. Well, this we can accept, but we have heard about terrible tortures which the communists inflict on you, and they are really terrible, and they will be terrible in Africa, worse than in Russia. In Russia, I wonder if you will be able to read Gulag Archipelago by Solzhenitsyn. It is terrible to read 600 pages of tortures. But these were still European communists. We have the last report about Zanzibar. They oblige prisoners to eat their feces and to drink urine. This happened in Romania too. But in Zanzibar, they have added something to it. After you have eaten feces and drunk urine, they put some, I don't know what, an iron in your mouth, which makes you to vomit what you have eaten, and then you must eat again. And it's really not my role today to describe to you all these sadistic tortures to which they recur. And now, how will we do about these tortures? Will we be able to bear them? If I don't bear them, I put in prison other 50 or 60 men whom I know around me, because that is what they wish from me, to betray those around me. And here comes the great preparation for suffering, which must start now. It is too difficult to prepare yourself for it when the communists have put you in prison. I remember we had in Romania a case, you know, we are among pastors, such cases happen rarely, but they happen, that a pastor had sinned with a woman. And now everybody among the pastors debated this question. He was a man already 20 years, a pastor. And my wife said, his sin has not been what he has done on that evening. The circumstances were so, and the occasion, and the girl was nice, and so on. He did not resist temptation. His great sin was not what he had done on that evening, but his great sin was that 20 years before, when he was not tempted, he had not said to himself, during my pastoral life, different things will happen to me. Among other things, it surely will happen sometime that I will be tempted to sexual sin. And to take the decision 20 years before, and to prepare yourself beforehand for what might happen. We have to prepare ourselves for suffering. How much every one of us can suffer depends on how much he is bound up with a cause. How dear this cause is to him, how much it means for him. And here we have had in communist countries very big surprises. We have had gifted preachers, writers of Christian books, who had become traitors. The composer of the best Christian hymnal of Romania became the composer of the best communist hymnal of Romania. Nobody would have expected it from him. Everything depends on this if we have remained in the sphere of words or if we are bound up, merged with the divine reality. God is the truth. The Bible is the truth about the truth. Right theology is the truth about the truth about the truth. And a good sermon is the truth about the truth about the truth about the truth. It is not the truth. The truth is God alone. Around this truth there is a scaffolding of words, of theologies, and of expositions. None of these are of any help. It is only the truth itself which is of help. And we have to penetrate through sermons, theological books, through everything which is words, and being bound up with the reality of God himself. When with us, Christians were tied to crosses 4 days and 4 nights, the crosses were put on the floor and other prisoners were tortured to fulfill their bodily necessities upon the faces and the bodies of the crucified ones and other tortures like this. I was asked very often in the West, which Bible verse helped you and strengthened you in these circumstances? My answer was, no Bible verse was of any help. It is sheer cant and religious hypocrisy to say this Bible verse strengthens me or that Bible verse helps me. Bible verses are not meant to help. We knew Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I will not want when I pass through the valley of shadow of death. Now, dear Susie, give me another piece of apple pie while I read it. And I read about passing through the valley of shadow of death. When you pass through suffering, you realize that it was never meant by God that the Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, should strengthen you. It is the Lord who can strengthen you, not the Psalm 23 that the Lord strengthens you. And you must not have the Psalm. You must have the one about whom the Psalm speaks. We also knew the verse, my grace is sufficient for thee. But the verse, my grace is sufficient for thee, is not sufficient. It is only the grace which is sufficient and not the verse. And especially we pastors who are handling the word, that is our very calling from God, to speak not only from the pulpit, but the whole week we speak holy words. And we are in the danger of giving to holy words more value than they really have. Holy words are only the means to arrive to the reality expressed by it. If you have arrived to the reality, if you are united with the Lord Almighty, communism is not almighty. He can't break the Lord Almighty. If you are only with the words of the Lord Almighty, you can be very easily broken. The preparation for underground work is deep spiritualization, and as you peel an onion, so to take away one peel from after the other, what is words, what are our sensations, what are our enjoyments, and to arrive to the reality of our faith, Jesus has told us beforehand that whosoever will follow me will have to bear a cross, and he showed himself how heavy this cross can be, and they have to be prepared for this. Look how the world does. Look at a pornographic magazine, or look at an advertising. It inflames your imagination, you know, when you look to this magazine, if you wish or don't wish. It's just something. We have to inflame our imagination by having before our eyes, making spiritual exercises. I'm very sorry that spiritual exercises are almost unknown in Protestantism. We had to revive them in the underground church. Spiritual exercises have been abused by some of the Catholics, and then the Reformation came, and there exists always a movement of pendulum. If one has fallen into one extreme, then I will fall into the other extreme. If somebody has made out of Virgin Mary almost a goddess, another would say Virgin Mary is just nothing. You know, you pass from one extreme to the other, and because some abused in false spiritual exercises, others would not make spiritual exercises at all. But we have to have not only our moments of prayer in which we speak, but we should have moments of meditation and contemplation. And when we read in Acts 11, in Hebrews 11, this long list of those, how they have been sawn asunder and burnt on stakes and devoured by lions, and I don't know, all kind of things which have happened, I must visualize myself. Now I am before lions, I am beaten, I am in danger to be burnt, and so on. How do I behave in this manner? I remember my last confirmation class before I left Romania. I took a group of 10 or 15 boys and girls. I did not take them to church. You can't take youth to church. It's much too dangerous for them. I took them on a Sunday morning to the zoo before the cage of lions, and I told them, your forefathers in faith have been thrown before such wild beasts for their faith. Know that you also might have to suffer. You will not be thrown before lions, but you will have it to do with men who will be much worse than lions. Decide here and now if you wish to pledge allegiance to Christ. And they had tears in their eyes when they said yes. Which we have to learn in the underground church is to be silent. Pastors, by their very nature and their very profession, are loquacious people, people who speak. Now, a pastor is not meant to speak the whole time. Nobody can preach well unless he listens well. This applies also to the free world. I have already the age of 65, and when I look back to my dealing with souls, I have won more souls by listening to them than by speaking to them. People have so many burdens on their heart, and there is nobody who has the patience to listen to them. Even your own husband has no patience. Your wife has no patience. Your children, well, they are young. They wish to go somewhere away. There is nobody to listen to you. And if they find you a man who listens, you have won him without speaking to him many words. Now, in the underground church, silence is one of the first rules. Every wrong word, every superfluous word which you speak can put somebody in prison. A friend of mine, a great Christian composer, went to prison because Christians had the habit to say, how beautiful is this song composed by brother so-and-so. They praised him. And for this, having praised him, he got 15 years of prison, but sings the song and don't mention the name of the one who is mean. Now, you can't learn to be silent the moment when the country is taken over by the communists. You have to learn to be silent from the moment of your conversion. A Christian is a man who speaks little and with great weight thinks over if he should speak this word, if it can do harm or not. In the underground church, every spare word can do harm. Solzhenitsyn, the great Nobel Prize winner, you know, this Russian writer who has come out, he has said in an interview, the one who has been his greatest persecutor, who denounced him, was his own wife. It is written in the book of Ecclesiastes, when you are with your wife, don't tell her the secrets of your heart. Now these words mean just nothing for me, but they are from God. And God knew that we will have an underground church, and he knew that at a certain moment the wife might become angry against you about some question. And if she knows a secret, she will betray it. And she betrayed one sister, the wife, who was the secretary of Solzhenitsyn, and that one was so tortured or put under such pressure that she finished by hanging herself. But if Solzhenitsyn would have kept silent, this would not have happened. Another question which is very important, I thank God for the years which I passed in solitary confinement. I was during 3 years, 10 meters beneath the earth, 30 feet. And I never heard a word. I never spoke a word. We never had a book. The outward voices ceased. The guards had felt-soled shoes. You did not hear their reproach. Then with the time the inner voices ceased. We were drugged. We were beaten. I forgot my whole theology. I forgot the whole Bible. One day I observed I had forgotten Our Father. I could not say it anymore. I knew that it begins with Our Father. I did not know the continuation. And I kept just happy. And I said, Our Father, I have forgotten the prayer, Our Father. But you surely know it by heart. You hear it so many thousand times a day, so you know it by heart. So you put an angel to say it for me, and I will just keep quiet. For a time, my prayer has been so much, Jesus, I love you. And then after a little time again, Jesus, I love you. And then Jesus, I love you. Then it became too difficult to say even this because we were doped with drugs which should destroy our minds. We were very hungry. We had times when we had one slice of bread a week. There were the beatings and the tortures and the lack of light and all this. And it was impossible to concentrate my mind to say so much at least. Jesus, I love you. And I abandoned it because I knew that it is not necessary. The highest form of prayer which I know is the quiet beating of a heart which loves him. And Jesus should just hear tika-taka, 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 and he should know that every heartbeat is for him. When afterwards I came out from solitary confinement and was together with other prisoners, and I heard them speaking, I wondered why they speak. So much of our speech is useless. Men become acquainted with each other, and the one would say, "How do you do?" And the other, "How do you do?" And then both would not say how they do. Then what is the good of this point? And one would say, "Don't you think that the weather is fine?" And the other thinks and says, "Yes, I think it is fine." But why do you have to think about the fact that the weather is fine? And so much of our speech is useless. And now, here it is useless. And we don't take earnestly the word of Jesus who says that men will be judged, not for every bad word, but for every useless word. So it is written in the Bible. Now, useless talking in a communist country means prison and death for your brother. A word of praise about your brother, if it is not necessary. Oh, if somebody comes to visit you, "Oh, I'm so sorry you were not here 10 minutes before, Brother Wurmbrand just left." And this can be an informer of the secret police, and so he knows that Brother Wurmbrand is in town. Keep your mouth shut and learn this already now. You can't do underground work without using stratagems. Everyone knows what a stratagem is. No? I know one case in Russia. The communist police suspected that the Christians are gathering somewhere, and they somehow surveyed a street. There somewhere must be the meeting. And they saw a young boy going towards the house where they supposed that the meeting will be. And they stopped the young boy, the police, and asked him, "Where do you go?" And he, with a sad face, said, "My oldest brother died, and now we gather the whole family to read his testament." And the police officer was so impressed and patted the young boy and said, "Just go, everything." He didn't say a lie. The older brother had died, and the family gathered to read the testament. With us, a brother has been taken to the police, and he was asked, "Do you still gather at meetings?" And he answered, "But comrade captain, prayer meetings are forbidden now." "Well, it is good that you conform with this. Just go." But he didn't say that he conforms. He didn't say that he doesn't go to meetings. He was asked, "Do you still go to meetings?" And he answered, "But meetings are forbidden," which they were. But the police officer understood that he is a man who conforms. A courier of ours, he went to a communist country. He was stopped at the border. And he was asked, "What books do you have with you?" And he said, "Well, I have the works of Shakespeare and the works of Jehovah." And now the police officer did not wish to show that he is an ignorant. Jehovah might be some other great British poet, or I don't know what, and to say I don't know who Jehovah is would put you to shame. So I said, okay, all right, just answer. So there are stratagems which in every case
we believe in the Holy Spirit, that He is a reality. The Holy Spirit is not a verse in the Bible. If He is a verse in the Bible, He is of no avail to me. And if angels exist as fairy tales to be told to children, then I don't need them. There are fairy tales enough without them. Angels are a reality. We have everyone a guardian angel. And if we are here together today, I don't know how many, 50 or 60 angels are also here. There are also plenty of devils here always. Where Christians gather, there are always devils also. And we have to rely on angels and on the Holy Spirit. We are not obliged to tell an atheist tyrant the truth. We are not obliged to tell him what he is doing. It is indecent from his side to put me questions. If I would simply put you the question, how much do you earn a month? It's really an indecent question. If you belong to society, you don't put such questions, no? How much money do you have in the bank? Nobody puts such a question. It's an indecent question. And you are not meant to answer me. I'm not meant to ask a girl, do you have a boyfriend or not? Are you already in love with somebody? If she doesn't wish to tell me something like this. So a man is not meant to ask me about my religious activity if I don't wish to tell it to him. It is an immixtion in my private affairs of an atheistic state who has no right to put such questions, and we are not meant to answer such questions. It is very difficult at interrogations. They put you all kinds of questions, and they told me, you are a Christian and you are a pastor. You are meant to speak the truth. Now tell us, who are the other leaders of the underground church? Where do you gather? Whom do you meet? Who are the leaders in the different towns? If I would have said the truth, there would have been innumerable others who in their turn would have said the truth, and so on. You have to resist this where the result are beatings and are tortures, but you have to take them upon yourself. The result of torture is that you might die. I know a brother, a very, very good brother, a pastor, who has today as big pains as I had when I was beaten because he played rugby. And something happened with his foot, and it gives him terrible pains. So if for rugby, I can take upon myself pains, and when he will get better, he will still play rugby. Knowing that some other accident, to tell you the truth, I don't know what rugby is. I've never seen a rugby party. I don't know the difference between rugby and soccer. I know that it is a crime in South Africa not to know what rugby is. But it is your fault because you have never invited me to see a rugby party. I don't know what I imagine it's also something with a ball or something like that. But the fact is that we take upon ourselves physical pains for rugby, which is a sport, a pleasure, healthy for the body. And you take these physical pains upon yourself to protect your brethren from being arrested. The worst thing which might happen because of this is that you will die under tortures. But to die is the most natural thing in the world. A beggar stopped once at the house of a rich man and said, could I please one night sleep here? I don't have where to sleep. And the rich man, go away from here, beggar. Here is not a hotel. The poor man said, I apologize. I'll go further. But would you please answer me a question? I looked to this house. I found it so beautiful. Who has made this house? Now the rich man felt flattered somehow and said, this is the house built by my beautiful house. And where's your grandfather now? He died since long. And who lived in the house after the grandfather? Well, my father. And is he still alive? No, he also died. And who lives in the house now? Ah. And will you also die? Yes. And who will live in the house after you die? Well, I hope my children. Then he said, why did you shout at me? You said that this is not a hotel. It is a hotel. It changes its inhabitants every time, just like a hotel room. You pack your things, somebody else comes. So if you know, we all somehow know these things. Therefore, when such stories are told, everybody laughs. He laughs because of the obviousness of the thing. Now, if it is obvious, take it as your part of the view of life. If God wishes me to be dead today, he does not need the communist torture. I can die by a heart attack without the communist torture. So the communist torturer never can shorten my life with 1 day. And never can the best restaurant with the finest dainties prolong my life with 1 day. I die when I am called by God. And Christians are unafraid. They know where they go. I recommend to you very much for the underground work. There are here also brethren who work in Angola. The question is very actual for them already now. Not the slightest quarrel is permitted in the underground church. Every quarrel in the underground church means arrests, beatings, and perhaps death. The communists watch and listen. They have their informers in the underground church. Wherever there is a quarrel, there are reciprocal accusations, no? There are reciprocal accusations. The one would say to the other, yes, when you were with Brother Smith, you did this. Here I have a name, Smith. Yeah, but you have covered up the sin of Brother Johnson. Here I have another name, Brother Johnson. Yeah, but what did you do when you were with Sister Johansen? Here I have another name. No? Quarrels always bring up names and bring up facts. And therefore, the word which is written in the Bible, don't quarrel while walking on your way. I know in one town of Romania, in Chisinau, there was a terrible quarrel between two congregations. The one was Baptist, and the others were what you would call here the strict brethren. You probably know these exclusive brethren. And there was such a terrible quarrel. It resulted in the arrest of the leaders of both congregations. The communists listened to everything, and you can't take last-minute decisions. I know that in heaven I can enter only if I will be saint, because who is not holy can't enter in heaven. Then it would be better to start today to be saint. It will be too late to start to be saint when you go to heaven. You will not know how to start it. You have to start it now. And if, in the case of a communist takeover, I will have not to quarrel, the best thing is not to quarrel already now. It is dramatic that there exist, sorely, quarrels among organizations which work behind the enemy curtain. It has had already dramatic results. And as far as possible, they should be avoided. Even a family quarrel in a communist country can mean death. I have been in the same prison cell with a man. He had a girlfriend. And as it happens at young age, at a certain moment, he met another girl. And he preferred that other girl to this girlfriend. But to this girlfriend, he had told different secrets. And this girlfriend went and told the secret police, and he got lifelong prison, and he got mad in prison. What has happened with him afterwards, I don't know. So that really the preparation for an underground work is not something else than the preparation for a normal Christian worker. Only it is much deepened, and it has to become much more real, a part of life, knowing, well, I believe that in South Africa you can destroy a congregation by quarrels. I believe that in your countries, in all countries, there have been cases of congregations destroyed by some quarrel between two pastors or two elders of the church. That happens everywhere. But there it means imprisonment and death. Another question, one of the great methods of the communists is not only physical torture, it is brainwashing. And we have to know how to resist brainwashing. A Christian must generally resist brainwashing. Because there exists brainwashing in the free world too. The press brainwashes us. The radio brainwashes. No, everything brainwashes. Everything which exercises influence upon us. There exists no motive in the world to drink Coca-Cola. You drink it because you are brainwashed. Water is surely better than Coca-Cola. But nobody advertises, drink water, drink water. If there would be advertising, you would drink water. And now communists have driven this technique of brainwashing to its extreme. Brainwashing, essentially, the methods vary. But brainwashing in communist prisons consists essentially in this, that you have to sit 17 hours a day on a form which has no possibility where you should leave. You are not allowed to close your eyes. And 17 hours a day you have to hear, communism is good, 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 communism is good. Christianity is dead, 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 and so on and so on and so on, endlessly. Give up, give up, give up, give up, give up, give up. You are bored already because I repeat these words since 1 minute. But there you have to hear it the whole day, weeks, months, years, without any interruption. I can assure you that it is not easy. It is one of the worst tortures, much worse, because they will see God. Stephen, around him there were hundreds perhaps, or scores, I don't know how many, with big stones in their hands to throw them at him. And he says, I see. And the wife of Stephen probably will have thought, he sees in what danger he is, and now he will run away. But he says, I see Jesus standing at the right of the Father. Wait a little bit until Jesus. Don't you see all this mob around you, ready to throw stones at you? A mob which wishes to... Oh, yes, some little ants there. Yes, there below. There are some little ants. Not worth mentioning. I see Jesus. He didn't see those who wish to kill him. And there exists, happy, blessed are the pure in heart. The simple fact is that they resisted brainwashing. I have passed through brainwashing 3 years. Now, the communists would say that my brain has not been washed. But you can resist brainwashing. It is by heart washing. Now, technically, in the same rhythm in which they said, Christianity is dead, Christianity is dead, Christianity is dead, I and others, we repeated to ourselves, Christ also has been dead. 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 But we knew he resurrected. And we remembered we live in the communion of the saints. We usually believe that the saints who have passed to the Lord are somewhere in the skies above the stars. You know, the Bible tells us where they are. Seeing then that you are encompassed by a cloud of witnesses, why should they sit then in the stars? They are here, where the fighters and the sufferers are. In the world of the spirit, there exists no here and there. We, these notions of space and time, which don't exist in the world of the spirit, we localize these things. They are around us, and we felt the presence of the martyrs of all times. And I personally had very much the feeling of the presence of Saint Mary Magdalene. And I was so happy when I thought, no, what are they telling me that Christianity is dead? Supposing they are right, what difference does it make? Supposing that there is no more one single Christian in the world except me, what difference would it make? Mary Magdalene just loved Jesus.
This preparation we have to make already now, before we arrive to prison.